What's going on, everybody? This is Living in Arizona Now, and today we put together a list of the top places to retire quietly and on a budget. All right, so here we are down in southern Arizona around Tubac, not to be confused with Tuba City. Now, when we're talking about the area of Tubac, you're going to find higher prices in the actual city center, but as you start to venture out into the hills going towards the west or towards the east, you're going to notice the prices are pretty reasonable. It's definitely very affordable down here. Even if you went as far south as Rio Rico, you could find some options. There's like a green belt or a golf course belt, I would call it, that kind of starts in Green Valley, works its way all the way down to Tubac here, and kind of goes down to Rio Rico and Nogales. But this whole little region right here is a place where you can find some great deals. Like I said, if you go out into the desert, up into the foothills, you'll find those deals. But I really like it because it's peaceful. It's right there next to the Arizona border. There is a little bit of border patrol presence down here, but it's not dangerous, I would say, so don't really get too worked up about that, especially since there's so much law enforcement. There can't be too much shenanigans down here anyway, but very peaceful, lots of wilderness and wildlife that will come into your backyard occasionally. For those of you who've been keeping up with this channel for a while, you know I really love southern Arizona. It's kind of one of our hidden gem regions. A lot of people think central or northern Arizona, but here's one, Bisbee. Now, Bisbee's been on the list a few times. It is also quite expensive around the Bisbee area, but as you go out into the foothills or into the mountains around Bisbee, maybe even consider South Bisbee going down towards Douglas, you'll find some deals down here, and I really enjoy this area. It's high altitude in Bisbee. I mean, if you can find a cheap accommodation or a cheap house or cheap trailer, mobile home in Bisbee, that's probably where you want to be. But I would say if you really wanted the better prices, you would go out into the outskirts, probably down towards South Bisbee. But really peaceful out here, beautiful, serene. I mean, this was at one point in time the top city in Arizona. You know, you had Prescott, you had Bisbee, you had Wickenburg. These were places that were ahead of Phoenix for a long time at the turn of the century. Down here in Bisbee, they have like no modern infrastructure. I mean, you won't even find a modern hotel around here, maybe on the outskirts, but I mean, it's really stuck in the past, and that's what people like about this place. So if you're looking for a budget living, go out into the hills around Bisbee, and you can find it maybe even towards the direction of Tombstone instead of Douglas. If you wanted something simple in the actual town of Bisbee, you could find a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,000 square feet for around $285,000. But if you go outside of town a bit, you'll find something for around $180,000. Now we're headed up to northwestern Arizona. This here is Kingman. Now it's out here in Mojave County. And this is actually going to be one of our more affordable places to live. You can find some new modern infrastructure for reasonable prices. Although, as with everywhere in the country, prices just continue to go up, and Kingman has been seeing a price spike, whereas you could see things for around $100,000 maybe around the year 2014. It seems like those prices have doubled pretty consistently across the board for a basic 2-bedroom. Now, if you moved up to a little bit larger home, especially something new, you could be looking north of $300,000 in some cases. But what a lot of people like to do is they get a home out here and then they just base camp and they drive their RV all around the country. They've considered this area to be a good place to find cheap, affordable living, and then also a safe enough place where you can put your home, lock your doors, and basically go for a while in the RV or mobile home. This is another one of those small towns. I mean, we're talking under 20,000 people in the entire region of Kingman. It is growing fast though, so you will expect those numbers to rise over time. But as of now, it is still quiet and budget friendly. It's just a matter of time before people start to find it and discover it though, so we'll see. But right now, and for the last 50 years, Kingman has been a quiet, budget friendly retirement destination. Cool thing about Kingman is it's a bit more mild than Phoenix, not as much hustle and bustle, but it is closer to Las Vegas than it is to Phoenix. This is actually considered one of the pit stops along the way from Phoenix to Las Vegas or from Las Vegas to Phoenix. They have talked about building a high-speed rail extension. After the Los Angeles to Las Vegas route is complete, they are talking about extending it down to Phoenix, and it would likely go through Kingman. Now here we are in Bullhead City. This is actually about an hour to 45 minutes away from Kingman, right here along the Colorado River. Now, it does get quite hot out here. You know, most of the Colorado River is very hot. As you can remember, going down south, you have Lake Havasu City and Yuma. But north of here, you have Lake Mead, and Las Vegas is right next to Lake Mead, Boulder City, and Henderson out that way. But yeah, right across the way here is Laughlin. They call that one of the biggest little cities right alongside Reno. But Laughlin's known for its hotels, buffets, and casino gaming, since people would go across the Arizona state line just to do that there in Nevada. Although nowadays, with all the Native American Indian gaming, people don't typically need to go all the way to Laughlin like they used to, but still, it's a beautiful area to hang out. They do have a water taxi. It is peaceful and quiet out here. Out here, you could probably find a mobile home or something along those lines, an RV park, maybe around under $200,000 pretty consistently. Obviously, if you wanted a new build, you're going to pay north of $300,000, $400,000. Just keep that in mind. Bullhead City is picking up in population, so I would consider going out to the outskirts around here. Like I said, it is kind of close to Kingman, so you could consider places like Golden Valley in between, or if you wanted to head to the hills and get some real seclusion, go to Oatman. But if you went a little bit further south, you'd find places like Riviera, Fort Mojave, Mesquite Creek, Mojave Valley, which is on the Arizona side. If you went across the border, you'd have California over there in the Dead Mountain Wilderness. So you're really in like a tri-state area with Bullhead City. And as we drive around, you saw a bunch of new builds there. So it is growing fast. Obviously, the population approaching 50,000. This is one of the bigger cities on the list. But if you got outside of the city center core, you will find peace and quiet, especially if you wanted to find those cheap places. Go to those mobile home parks. I mean, you never know what kind of deals you're going to find here, but it's just that heat that really wears you out over here. So maybe you make this something like a part-time winter home or something, and then during the summers, you guys are going around in your RV. Just make sure you got AC out here in Bullhead City for sure. And as we continue to show you around, this video request came from one of you, the viewers. So if you guys have any ideas for videos or you want to make some recommendations, leave some comments below. But now we're headed down south to Yuma along the Colorado River as well. This one's on the border with California, and then it's an international border right there with Mexico. So down here in Yuma, it's a farming area. This is a little bit bigger than Bullhead City, so it is actually the largest on the list compared to Bullhead City, I guess you could say. But some of the popular areas people are retiring are going to be out in the Fortuna foothills. That's about a 15-minute drive on Highway 8. Also, if you go up I-95, you'll find some areas. There's not too much going on in the Yuma Proving Ground, so you can't really go out there. I'd stay away from there. But if you go south a bit, there's some cheaper property and pretty peaceful down there by San Luis or the San Luis, Colorado area. And then if you go out to El Prado Estates, so Bard is another area. Lots of cheap areas, whether you're on the Arizona side or California side. People kind of go back and forth. You'll also see that up towards Blythe. That's on the California side. But California, you're going to be subjected to their high taxation policy, so that's why people stay on the Arizona side when doing this. There's another area just north of here that's not on the list, but it's Quartzsite. That's a really popular place for people who just snowbird down here. So this here is a look at the dispersed camping sites all across Quartzsite. You really wouldn't want to be out here in the summertime, but from probably November until April, it's a great place to be. It's just people try to get out of here during the summer months, but nice place to be, and it's close to Yuma. One of the things that people really like about retirement in Yuma is you can be close enough to a city that's going to have most major things a big city would have without being crazy chaotic. For example, Yuma has Walmart's, Targets. They also have pretty good restaurant scene. And then they have a international airport that people really like, and it's modern and efficient. So if you need to get around, you'll be able to do that from Yuma. So yeah, there's a look at the airport, and you can see they've also got major rail road going through here because of the farming and agricultural industry. So far, we've shown you mostly hot, arid places, aside from Bisbee, I would say. But what we're going to do now is we're going to head up north and show you some of the higher country elevation where they have pine trees. This one here is Show Low. Now, as you go north into Arizona, you're going to pay a more premium price. Prices are going to go up a bit, but there are some areas out in Arizona where you can find cheap, affordable living, even around Show Low. But the area around here, we would call this more above the Mogollon Rim. So once you go up the Mogollon Rim and you go to the backside, you're going to find places like Show Low, Heber Overguard, even going out to St. John where they'll have super cheap property. But that might not be for everybody. But it's very peaceful and quiet, especially as you go out around the Petrified Forest area. Although Show Low is not necessarily around that, it's just once you get up into this part of Arizona, you could go to a more expensive area in the White Mountains like Pine Top Lakeside. You could go towards Springerville or even Snowflake. Now we're down here in the southern part of Phoenix. This is Maricopa. Now, Maricopa is a popular place because it's a satellite city outside of Phoenix, hustle and bustle. There's only one road really coming in and out from Phoenix, and it's quite remote, but it's modern. You're going to save a bit of money living out here than you would if you were to live in Phoenix. So if you really wanted to live in Phoenix and you're looking for a cheap alternative that's quiet, Maricopa might just be for you. I would say that houses around here you could still find for around $350,000, $400,000 for a pretty nice home. But they also have some mobile home parks in a nearby place like Casa Grande right there along the I-10. Now, finding peace and quiet around a big city like Phoenix or Tucson is a bit difficult, but Maricopa, Apache Junction, Wickenburg, these are places that the metropolitan urban sprawl of Phoenix still have not quite reached, although it is coming. You also have places like Florence and Coolidge, even Casa Grande. I just want to let you guys know that it is coming, and in the next 20 years, expect some of those areas, including Maricopa, to be encroached upon by the urban sprawl from Phoenix in the north. Now, another one here is going to be Portal. I really like Portal. It's down in the Chiricahuas. This is probably the remote area you will find anywhere on this list. And it's pretty cheap out here. Most people who go out there, the first thing they say is, how do I move out here? Well, it's not easy, but you can. It's about a 3-hour drive from Tucson. The closest city I would say is going to be Silver City, New Mexico. But Portal is really nice out in the Chiricahuas. There's Star Valley nearby. They say it's one of the darkest places in the country. That's why people love to come out here and stare at the stars. So now we just showed you a bunch of places across Arizona where you can retire in peace and quiet. This is different than our other best places to retire in Arizona video. If you haven't seen that, I'll put a link below. But there are some cheap places to get land still in Arizona. It's a sparsely populated state outside of Phoenix, Flagstaff, and Tucson, really. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, smash the likes and consider watching some more of our other videos. We'll put a best weekend road trip here and another Phoenix video next.